Welcome to Twill Castle, and Tessa dares say yes to the Marquess. This one's a romp, weddings, prize fighters, and a bride who is well and truly done waiting. Meet Clio Whitmore, engaged for 8 long years to a Marquess who's almost never around. Society has a nickname for her now, Miss Waitmore. She hates it. She's not wrong to. Her fiancé is Rafe Brandon, Marquess of Granville, forever abroad on diplomatic business in India, forever promising to set a wedding date, forever not actually doing it. Then Cleo's great aunt dies and leaves her something extraordinary, an entire castle, all her own. For the first time in 8 years, Clio has real leverage. Clio makes a decision. She is done waiting. She will dissolve the engagement herself. She just needs one signature. Unfortunately, it isn't her fiancé's. Piers gave his younger brother power of attorney years ago, so Clio doesn't need the wandering Marquess at all. She just needs Rafe Brandon's signature. Rafe Brandon is not what anyone expects from a Marquess's brother. He's a prize fighter, notorious, rough-mannered, and about as far from polite society as a Brandon can get. Clio marches straight into his world, papers in hand, utterly unbothered by the rough surroundings, and demands his signature on the spot. Rafe finds this enormously entertaining. Rafe reads the dissolution papers and refuses to sign, not out of spite, but loyalty. He believes his brother genuinely loves her in his own absent, maddening way. Instead, Rafe makes her a counteroffer. Give the engagement one real chance. He'll personally plan the most spectacular wedding the town has ever seen. Clio is, understandably, unimpressed. Rafe shows up at Twill Castle the very next morning, sleeves rolled up, ready to plan. Clio did not agree to this. Rafe has decided that's a minor detail. He starts with flowers, an absurd quantity of flowers, certain that no wedding can possibly have too many. Clio watches an entire cart get unloaded with growing horror. Clio's younger sister, Phoebe, brilliant with numbers and utterly unbothered by social niceties, immediately starts cataloging every flower by cost, origin, and probability of wilting. Next comes cake tasting, an entire afternoon of it. Rafe insists every option must be thoroughly sampled. Clio insists this is completely unnecessary. Rafe wins this argument easily. Somewhere between the flowers and the 9th cake sample, Clio realizes something inconvenient. She is having fun. She was not supposed to be having fun. Ellingsworth, Piers's small, thoroughly unglamorous dog, left behind along with everything else, adopts Rafe immediately and follows him everywhere, an unbothered third wheel to it all. Rafe sets himself 3 strict rules to survive the wedding planning without complications. Never picture her as his bride. Never let his guard down. And absolutely, under no circumstances, kiss her. Rule 1 breaks almost immediately. Fitting Clio for her wedding gown, Rafe cannot stop picturing exactly what he was told not to picture. Rule 2 goes next. Late one evening, reviewing seating charts by candlelight, Rafe tells Clio about the fight that got him cast out of polite society in the first place. She doesn't flinch. Clio learns the truth behind the rumors. Rafe didn't choose prize fighting out of recklessness. He chose it because it was the one place his differences were never a liability, only an asset. Clio finds herself defending Rafe to her own snobbish relatives without even meaning to. She's supposed to be planning her escape from this family. Instead, she's collecting a soft spot for one of them. Rule 3 is the one that matters most, and the one Rafe repeats to himself constantly, like a man reciting a prayer he doesn't quite believe anymore. Word arrives that Piers may finally be returning from India, sooner than anyone expected. The countdown Clio wanted for 8 years suddenly feels like the last thing she wants at all. Clio realizes, with growing alarm, that she no longer knows which brother she's actually planning this wedding for. Rafe overhears the news about Piers's return and does exactly what he always does with feelings he doesn't want to examine. He throws himself back into the ring. Clio finds him afterward, bruised and short-tempered, and says the thing neither of them has dared to say yet out loud. This wedding was never really about Piers anymore. Rule 3 does not survive the evening. Rafe kisses her. Finally, deliberately, breaking his own chalkboard promise without a single trace of regret. Clio doesn't pull away out of guilt this time. She pulls him closer, because for the first time in 8 years, she is choosing something entirely for herself. But Pierce is still on his way home, and Rafe still signed on to plan his brother's wedding, not steal his brother's bride. Guilt catches up with him fast and hard. Rafe tries to do the noble thing and step back, insisting the wedding will go on as planned. Clio, for the first time in this whole ordeal, refuses to accept his answer. Pierce finally arrives home, pleasant, charming, and utterly oblivious to the storm he's walking into. He greets Clio warmly, like a man returning from a slightly long errand. Clio sits Pierce down and tells him plainly, she cares for him, she always has, but not the way a wife should care for her husband. Not anymore. Maybe not ever, if she's honest. Pierce, to his credit, isn't devastated. He is almost relieved. 8 years of half-hearted engagement weighed on him too, in his own distracted, wandering way. What Pierce isn't quite so relieved about is exactly which brother has been occupying his fiancée's thoughts. That conversation between the two Brandon men is considerably less comfortable. In the end, Pierce does something unexpectedly decent. He steps back gracefully, signs the papers himself, and wishes them both well, genuinely, if a little wistfully. With Pierce gone and the papers signed, Rafe assumes the wedding planning is finally, mercifully over. Clio has other ideas entirely. Clio unrolls a brand new document, not a dissolution this time, but a proposal. She has, characteristically, decided to skip the part where the man is supposed to ask first. Rafe, who has never in his life had the easier option handed to him, doesn't hesitate for even a second this time. Ellingsworth, unbothered as ever, simply trots along at their heels, having clearly known how this would end long before either of them admitted it. They marry at Twill Castle, in the middle of all those absurd flowers Rafe insisted on from the very beginning. This time, every detail was planned for the right couple all along. That's say yes to the Marquess. Turns out the right brother was under her nose the whole time. Subscribe for more.